What's going on, everybody? I'm here with a video of Manchester United versus Atletico Madrid and how Atletico Madrid knocked Manchester United out of the Champions League. Now, before we get into the tactics behind the match, check out the OneFootball app. There's a link in the description below, and this is the best app out there for following games, updates on live scores, and your favorite players and teams. Everything football is covered by this app. It's a one-stop shop for getting updates, news, transfers, everything you can think of that you would want from your favorite leagues and favorite teams is covered by this app. As you see, that's me to the right of the screen just scrolling through the app. I've downloaded it. There's a free download. It's completely free, and there's a link in the description below. So I highly recommend this app. The video is brought to you by them today. And while you're in the description, be sure to check out both my books and check out Keyframe. It's how I'm making this video. All that is in the description, so be sure to check that out. And let's get right into the tactics behind the match. So Manchester United in their defensive phase lined up in a 4-2-3-1 that saw Bruno Fernandes and Cristiano Ronaldo as the two highest players, and then Scott McTominay and Fred were the deeper two holding midfielders. So in their defensive phase, it was more of a 4-2-2-2 against Atletico Madrid's 3-5-2 in possession. Now they would then overload the left-hand side with two central defenders, allow their wingbacks to go higher, and then play with a midfield three. Their midfield three would play very narrow at times and look to favor one side, creating overloads to progress through fast overloads in vertical play, and while vacating one side and looking for a fast switch if the isolation was on, or just be very prepared in their overload situations to transition effectively through. So here's an example of Atletico using possession to then try and progress their attacking move. So we have our back three and our midfield three all favoring one side of the field, with just Koke just being on the left side of the field, but still playing very narrow as a midfield three, having our wingback play a little bit deeper and allowing Griezmann to check to the ball with João Felix running in behind. So we have a very overloaded right side of the field, which gives Atletico an advantage in transition by having so many close connections with each other that the potential of a loss of possession is very high, but also the potential to counterpress and recover possession is also very high, and by maintaining stability when they do lose possession allows them to exploit Manchester United and go forward. So as we see the shape from Manchester United, we have our midfield three and then Elanga on the weak side creating our midfield four in a 4-4-2 with Bruno Fernandes and Cristiano Ronaldo as the two strikers looking to cut off circulation, even though Atletico don't really circulate possession in terms of using circulation as a form of progression. They're much more content with progressing through an overload and controlling transitions effectively. So this saw Manchester United use man orientation and saw the defense of Manchester United also jumping with a player like Griezmann who's dropping into a deeper area, allowing for then space to be exploited in behind through Atletico Madrid's direct play. Manchester United in possession now. They built from the back with no surprises. Harry Maguire and Varane with the two central defenders being split by David De Gea, and from the 3-5-2 of Atletico we see the two forwards pressing, one taking away the holding midfielder while one trying to cut off circulation and force the ball into a wide area. Atletico will typically try and press to one center defender, cut the field, and then create advantages where they can win the ball and then go forward quickly. We also start to see a midfielder jumping to then create access and try and create higher level spatial control around the single pivot area for Manchester United, allowing them to then control this area more effectively, allow freedom for João Felix to jump and press, and be in a better position offensively for when they win the ball. Now higher up the field we saw a 5-3-2 with João Felix and Griezmann playing as two strikers, but in a deeper area they would then fall down into a 5-4-1, which was quite clear, and for most of the game they did defend in a deeper to low block, which then saw them use a 5-4-1, giving them a lot of flexibility in their three central defense, being able to then control crosses very well and defend adequately inside their own penalty area. Then the midfield four allowed them to have compactness and use cover shadows between the lines. Manchester United had a lot of room to circulate possession and were able to then extend these passing connections, which gave Atletico Madrid potential in transition to exploit this expansive shape in possession for Manchester United. And with Manchester United having a lot of space in build-up, we would see a more aggressive form of build-up using their central defenders to then move into midfield, but this would attract midfielders of Atletico Madrid, and a midfielder would jump out alongside João Felix, who's covering the holding midfielder, and they would stop progression and control the space between the lines either with a cover shadow from a central midfielder or via a jumping central defender if this player wasn't pinned. So as we see with a back five, you have more freedom to then have a central defender jump into this area if they're not pinned, but with good compactness, a cover shadow can typically handle this, especially if the connection between the two attackers is vertical like we see here. So now as we see, Manchester United, they often had Elanga inverting as a second striker alongside Ronaldo, but then later in the game they threw on Cavani to try and get more presence inside the penalty area, which saw them play with two central strikers. And then what happened here is they would pin the back five of Atletico Madrid, which would then force the midfielders to then step and jump to a central defender who's on the ball. So this would be largely effective for Atletico Madrid, forcing Manchester United into inefficient areas like the wide areas, because with Edison Cavani and Cristiano Ronaldo, there's not as much of a threat with them dropping deeper, coming between the lines and getting on the ball. They're more of players who operate inside the penalty area. So if the ball was shifted into the wide areas and then Atletico Madrid were able to press properly, it would be very hard to get service and quality service inside the box to a free player. That's where we're going to wrap up the analysis. I hope you guys enjoyed it and see you in the next one.